Let's go over the online forms feature in Pipeliner CRM. Access the Online Form Manager by clicking on the Tools menu and then selecting Online Forms. You'll see a list of all online forms, regardless of which user created the form. Click on the Create New button to add a new online form. Fill in the online form name and a description. Select a primary record type from the dropdown. Choose from Account, Contact, Lead, or Opportunity. By default, you'll be the online form owner, but you can change that to a different user if required. Click on Create to open up the online form editor. When you create a new online form, the online form editor will open to allow you to edit and customize the form. Every form includes the following sections: header image, header, fields, footer. Clicking on the image area will open up a sidebar. Choose an image to use on your form. Resize your image to fit within the boundaries and then apply. Leave the Tick and Show Color ribbon to display a top border above your image in your chosen color. Leave the Tick and Show question numbers to display incremental numbers for each field added, or uncheck it to remove the numbers. Click on Color Schemes to choose one of the predefined color schemes to use for the border and background. Rather than use predefined style, you can click on Customize Style to choose your own colors for the Submit button, backgrounds, fonts, borders, etc. Click on Preview to see the results of your choices. Click into the Header section to add a form title and description, as well as decide if the header should be visible or not. This might be useful when the form is embedded. You can use rich text formatting, as well as add personalization markers to insert data from selected Pipeliner records into your form. Depending on which primary record type was selected when the form was created, in the left-hand panel, you will see a few pre-created fields that can be added to your form. Each field represents a question or data value that can be filled in by a recipient of the form. In addition to the pre-created fields, you can create additional custom fields. All fields are shared between forms and can be used only once per form. You can drag and drop a field from the left-hand panel onto your form. Click on the three dots icon to edit a field, copy it, or delete it. Add a new field using the Create New Field button. The first option is to choose Custom Values, and then type in the options that should be available for recipients to choose from. The alternative option is to tie the values of your new field to a field that already exists in Pipeliner. Choose Existing Field Values, and then choose the field to map the values from. A field can be reordered by dragging and dropping vertically, pre-filled with data, made invisible, made read-only, set as required, copied to create another new field, removed from the form. Click on an individual field to open up the sidebar. In the General tab, you can enter a title and description for the field. Scrolling down, you'll be able to select an image to display for each field, as well as make the field visible, required, or read-only. Click on the Values tab to customize text, placeholders, and ranges of the current field. The values are dependent on the field type in the Pre-fill tab. You can enable pre-fill for each field. This allows you to share the form link with some answers already populated or filled with default values to help your recipients complete the form quickly. Choose between the two options to determine how the values will be pre-filled. Click on the footer to change the text of the Submit button. Click on the Settings button to select options to determine the behavior of the form. The On Form Submit tab determines what happens when the form is submitted by the recipient. If your form submission contains a value, the contact's email address, for example, that can uniquely identify a record already in Pipeliner, you can choose to update that Pipeliner record with additional information.
Click on the Update Record Form button to set up mappings from your form fields to fields
in Pipeliner. Click into each field that you want to update with information submitted on the form response. If a record in Pipeliner that matches to the submitted form response cannot be found, you can enable the Create Record option. You definitely want to leave this option enabled if you don't know who may fill in your form. Click on Create Record Form to map fields from your form response to a new record in Pipeliner. Enable this option to save the response as a PDF that will then be attached to the Documents tab of the created or updated record. You can also limit to one response. If this is enabled, when the responder submits the form more than once, they will be prompted to replace a previous response. If Check for Existing Responses remains selected, the responder will be prompted to replace an existing response or create a new response when they submit a form more than once. Switch this on to send a notification by email when a response is submitted. You can send the response to the owner of the form, the owner of the Pipeliner record, a specific user or users. Show a thank you message to display a thank you page to the responder. Redirect to an external website by entering a custom URL. The record identity allows you to choose how a form response will be matched to a record. There are two options that can be used to identify a record. Identify by record ID. When a personalized form link is sent to a recipient, it will contain the underlying record ID, which means that the record can be precisely identified and matched to the response. Identification by field on the record. Enable this option and pick a field from your form that will be used to find an existing record. If your form is personalized, choose a record to preview how the personalization markers will be displayed. You can also swap between the desktop and mobile previews. Once you've finished setting up your form, click on Save to save your changes but keep it inactive so you can continue working on it. Or Save and Activate to publish your changes to the web so that responses to the form can be submitted. You can also get a link, an embed code, or even customize the theme by clicking on the three dots icon. Keep in mind that if someone tries to respond to a form that is not activated, they will receive this message. In the next video on this topic, we will cover the export, share, and embed options for your forms.